Bases dropped on a new round of SDH AM. John, hear you there. And hour number 2 is pretty stacked. Kacey White's going to join us, and she's going to talk about everything. She's like in Montreal and has been for like the last 3 days, probably enjoying all the poutine that you could possibly have. And so Kacey's going to talk about Leagues Cup. She's going to talk about NWSL. She's going to talk about USL Championship. She's going to be kind of like, I referred to her when we were going back and forth. I said, okay, you're like our lanyap to our whole thing. Basically, all the spices thrown together. You remember the Cajun spice, Ruffles potato chip? They called it the lanyap spice, and it was that was so all these spices thrown together to create one big spice. And so that's kind of what Kacey's going to be in hour number 2. Matt Pollard from Burgundy Wave's going to join us at 10:30. We're going to break down the Mihailovic deal, Noah Cobb, the NWSL, all the things. But first, and we got to talk about John Textor because Eagle Football Holdings, Botafogo, all the things. If you read the Morning Espresso or listened to the Morning Espresso with Jason kind of got into it a little bit. We have some more stuff to get into with that. So John Textor ain't making no friends, and he ain't answering our DMs to be on the show. I think we are now in week number 2 of John Textor. John Textor watch. Bro will blow out the show. For Tuesday Thoughts, any day of the week, you come in, we'll talk. It's there. It's in your DMs. Just check them. But first, wasting no time. Actually, I wasted about 2 minutes. Time to go and find out what's going on with someone in her car as Maddie's getting ready for practice, the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. And you are dressed rather warmly this morning.
It's a little cold. Also, it's raining too, which doesn't help either. So, but I will say it does feel nice. Like I'm not complaining about it being cold.
Is your air conditioning on or your vent on?
My vent is on. Off. Haha, there we go. It's back off now. I enjoy the cold right now because of how hot it's been. So honestly, I'm not complaining.
Steven Alzate was announced yesterday during the show, and obviously we don't know a timetable for him to be wandering in. Obviously, with the approval of the international transfer certificate and the P1 visa, then he comes in. But now that you've had Saturday, Sunday, Monday, let's see. So Sunday night would have been 24, Monday night would have been 48. So like 60 hours after the fact, we went into, I don't know if you listened to the show yesterday, but we had 11 separate incidents for Bart to carry over through with reffing down here. Most of them dealing with Atlanta United, but we did talk about what happened in Seattle and Santos Laguna and the end of the Purple team and Atlas. So, yeah, where are you 60 hours after the fact? Have you calmed down any?
Yes, I'm calmed down.
By the look on your face, you're like, no.
Like, I am, but it's still, like, frustrating. I think I've had some time. I said it on post-game that it's hard to look at the game without looking at what happened with the referees and taking it out. At the time, that was really where my focus was. I got the chance to really kind of look back onto the game as well and just how Atlanta played. It's the same story. I thought for the first 60 minutes, you dominated. I thought you were the better team. And then it's just, that fitness level, it kind of falls off. And that can't happen against a team like Pumas. The Pumas was able to come back into it. They clawed their way in, even if, they were helped with 2 penalties. But it's one of those things where like, don't let them come back into that matchup again. And it's one of those where it's small lapses, it's small mistakes, but it just has to be cleaned up. But overall, like, I thought you did play really well in the first 60 minutes. It just has to be full 90. But no, the referee situation, I've had my fair share of conversations about all of that. So listen, I'm curious what I didn't get a chance to listen, but I'm curious what Bart said about the penalties.
Oh, I mean, well, we with the Brooks one, you're like, don't put your foot in a situation where you can get a call. And then the second one was, no, considering
Okay.
that
Yeah.
the foul was outside and started well, and if you're going to do it, then call it earlier, and then hey, look, the chalk for the 18, fall down, go boom. I mean,
And also, too, my thing about that whole situation is if it was a foul and anything, in most cases, in that sense, wouldn't you have given Ronald the yellow as well? Ronald didn't get the yellow, so again, that's another just misrepresentation of like, okay, where's the line there? So I can do this and it's a penalty, but I don't get a card. Okay, but if I do something less than later down on the field, it is a yellow. Like it's one of those things where it's not just those bigger calls for me. It's a lot of the smaller calls that lead up to it where you then don't know, okay, you can't gauge, okay, which foul can I make and is it going to be too far this time? Like you can't gauge it as a player. It's difficult. It's difficult when you're in a game to kind of manage it, to then be like, okay, what decision can I make here, and then what will be the consequence of this? Like, it's one of those where it's like, I don't know. And that's kind of what happened. And the referee just lost complete control of the game.
Yeah.
That whole situation with the Navas red card is a perfect example of it. Because I don't understand how you can allow a player to be on the field for that long to not only take their sweet old. He was taking a little brisk walk in Orlando.
Not even a brisk walk. He was chilling and directing traffic.
Directing traffic, literally directing the freaking free kick. And then
he was bringing in planes over to MCO. That's what he was doing.
Like directing the free kick, going all the way down, and then finally is off the field. And then the referee at that point is like, oh, just kick the ball. And then a player is stepping 10 feet away from the dang line that was drawn. And so, and like, it's one of those where it's like, and then Vortek gets the yellow for arguing about it, which I'm like, it's one of those where, like, if you're not, like, you have to be consistent in those moments, and that's what made me upset about it. Because if those calls, whatever way, especially when you look at also some of the calls in MLS play that Atlanta United has had to see over the last couple of games, too, it's like, okay, come on, what's going on, guys? And it's the same thing that I think we all talk about when it comes to refereeing, not only in MLS, but in other leagues, too. It's consistency. It's like, if you're going to call it a very strict game in a very, like, meticulous way, call it that way the entire match. Don't wish-wash. If you're going to be a little bit more lenient, you're going to allow them to play a little bit more, call it like that from the very beginning and just ride. I'd rather you be consistent than you not be consistent and it's all over the place, and then the players are confused, the coaches are confused, and then you're dealing with conversations where, but if that's a foul down there, why is it not a foul down the other way? What's going on? You create a whole bunch of chaos for you in itself. For me, that's how I feel about it. I will not talk about it anymore. I feel like I'm beating a like I can't be doing that anymore. So anyway, but now because, and also too, we won't have Ronnie Dyla as well for Wednesday either. He will be serving the red card suspension that he sustained after the match.
So do we think it's going to be Kenny? Is it going to be Kenny for
from I'll say for talking today for media, we are chatting with Kenny Miller as well as I believe Will Riley.
Okay. So yeah. The odds are it looks like it's going to be Kenny Miller on the touchline yelling for both him and Ronnie Dyla on Wednesday, going up against Atlas at the end of the group's Phase One.
That's what I would assume.
Phase One. What kind of a lineup are you anticipating? Not really having any intel, but how much rotation are you looking at here, considering that you've got to get ready for the matchup against Efrain Morales in Montreal on the weekend? What kind of rotation are you looking at? Starting dudes give me 45 and then get swapped out at the break. What are you looking for here?
It's a weird one because I feel like it could go either way. I mean, for me, if it's a match that's meaningless and you have another double match week and you got to start looking at the regular season and finishing out the regular season strong, I think you're looking at possibly a big rotation shift, especially for Wednesday. Maybe you sit a lot of players, like you sit Bartek maybe for Will, or you take out Pedro Amador and you put in Dominic Jonqui. You play some of the homegrowns. And then you play Jaden in goal, maybe. I would think that you would see a heavy rotation to allow, I think, a lot of players on the bench to kind of get the rotation. Just because you're looking at the match against Montreal and you want to come out of that with 3 points, and you want to rest some of your guys that have been working a lot, that have been, putting in 90 plus shifts in the last couple of games. I think Bartek needs a nice little break, sit on the bench,
Don't
especially with the amount.
Don't tell Bart that though.
But
Don't.
I mean, honestly, Bart might want to play. So fair enough. If he wants to go, let him go. I'm here for it. I listen. I will never say no. But I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if maybe you see some of those like starters still stay in. Like I wouldn't be shocked if maybe you see Stian Gregerson and Mihai as well still maybe be a part of the lineup in some way. Because again, they're still working on their fitness. It makes sense for them to get minutes to kind of build their fitness and to continue that going as well. There are different options. I think you can kind of gauge it in either way. I would assume maybe a heavy rotation. And just because you're preparing for Montreal, and that would be my focus, especially looking at this week, is the Montreal match. You want to make sure everyone's fit, ready to go for that. So Wednesday would be your opportunity to rest a lot of those guys, let them take a break, and allow for some of the players who have been on the bench this season to get an opportunity to get some minutes.
Okay. This morning yesterday we kind of heard that a former player for Atlanta United who was transferred out and sold out and was not keen on Major League Soccer because he thought that the players in Major League Soccer were okay with losing. And so then he said that at his introductory press conference for his new club on his way out the door. We found out yesterday that a club in Greece was interested in picking up this individual from the club that he is currently sitting. I don't even think he's sitting on the bench. I think he's just sitting in street clothes at Cruz Azul. So it appears that Yorgos Giacomakis, PAOK Salonika has agreed to bring Giacomakis from Cruz Azul on a 1-year loan with an option to buy. They've got to just work on the contract for Yorgos Giacomakis. So it looks like Yorgos Giacomakis on the move again for his career. So, Yorgos Giacomakis now once again out the door, heading to yet another club. I'm going to get his stats at Cruz Azul. So, can I spell Giacomakis? There we go.
I don't know, John, can you?
I think I might just have transfer marked. Okay, so Giacomakis transfer marked. There we go. Yorgos Giacomakis. Player profile. Let's see. So his value is apparently his value has gone down the sum total of €2 million according to Transfermarkt since he walked in the door at Cruz Azul. So let's look at his statistics at Cruz Azul, shall we? Stats all seasons. So his stats for his time at Cruz Azul, he has been in, 17, 34, 34 and 6 is 40. So 9 goals in 40 matches with 7 assists. And so he's been busy, but he ain't played nothing this year, apparently. So here in the Apertura, he's just kind of sitting. And so there's your Yorgos Giacomakis update. 9 goals in 40 in all comps with Liga MX, Leagues Cup, and CONCACAF. And so not a whole lot of starts. Well, actually, not recently a whole lot of starts because of Matty Bogusz coming in. But anyway, that's your Yorgos Giacomakis update. It looks like he's heading to Greece. You're just like, yeah. You're like, yeah, whatever.
Like I feel like we should have a Yorgos Giacomakis tracker every time, like where he goes. Hey, listen, he's getting his passport like marked off with all the places he's going, which is cool.
So you're saying that Yorgos Giacomakis should be soccer's version of Carmen Sandiego?
I mean, why not?
Where
you get
in
to
the
knock out
world
those passports?
is Yorgos
Cool.
Giacomakis?
Haha, I like that. No, I mean, listen, I mean, if he wasn't playing at Cruz Azul, you got to go somewhere where you're playing, and especially too with I know the talks as well was like before it was possibly going to be Charlotte, and then that deal got, I believe, denied. Correct? I want to make sure I'm not getting my rumored. Okay, yeah, I want to make sure I wasn't getting that correct. Yeah, so that got denied, and so now it's trying to find another club, and then obviously found one in Greece. So yeah, you gotta go, gotta go play.
Gotta get the bag. Gotta get the bag. Do you need to go?
What time is it?
9:20.
No, I got time.
Okay. Like I said, I was just checking. I mean, because I don't want you to be, if Jason is like wandering behind you or something like that, then I know that that's the cue. But I haven't seen him wander behind.
Nah, Jason's not here yet.
Okay. It's what have you thought of Leagues Cup? We're gonna have obviously we're gonna have Kacey White on in hour number 2, and she's in Montreal to talk about things and Leagues Cup and a bunch of other things. What have you thought about Leagues Cup in general as a tournament?
I've loved it. I've had fun with it. I think it's been a lot of fun. We talk about it all the time. I feel like a lot of media, I think especially here in the States,
Mm-hmm.
really put a lot of crap on it, and we're like, oh, this isn't gonna be fun, this is a pointless tournament and all of this stuff. Why aren't they just playing in the Open Cup and everything? And I'm like, well, first of all, why can't they do both? Number one.
Or can they do both?
Number one, my personal opinion. I'm nothing against the Open Cup at all. Nothing against the Open Cup at all. I love the competition that you're seeing from between MLS and Liga MX. And I think it is a very, very strong competition. And a lot of these MLS teams and a lot of these Liga MX teams are dealing with teams, and it's a battle. It's a good matchup. And you're seeing a lot of these games where it goes to the wire. And it's showcasing the talent on both sides in Liga MX as well as MLS. And I think you're seeing these new rivalries form. You're seeing the rivalries that have already been instilled in there for a while, and it's great competition, and it's an opportunity to win a trophy. I love Leagues Cup. I'm enjoying it. I think I would echo a lot of the sentiments I've been hearing, where I feel like it would be a lot better if it was maybe it was like an 8 seed instead of a 4 seed, because then it would allow for, I think, more players to join in and to be a part of it a little bit more, and it would make it a little bit less so crazy, and I think you would get a little bit more like a round of 16, then it goes to a quarterfinals. I think that would be a little bit better, because I think it allows for more teams. It allows for more games. You're getting more games between Liga MX and MLS. I don't know if that would be the conversation heading into next year, depending on when they're looking at reshaping everything.
Yeah.
I would love to see it be like an 8-team for both Liga MX as well as for MLS, because I feel like it creates more of a, okay, we're trying to get to this point. We could still get here. That way you get more teams into it and you get more from the tournament, I feel like. But I love the way that it's shaped out now. I do not dislike the way that it is framed now, because now you get the cross league matchups, and I like that. And I like that you won't be able to get a MLS versus MLS until maybe the semifinals. And I think that's really cool. I think that should stay, but I think maybe expanding it to maybe an 8-team seed for both sides would maybe make it a little bit more of a, okay, if you lose 1 or 2 games, it's not like you're completely out, because you have a couple of teams that are, completely out. But also too, again, you still have, I think what I read was 29 are still in the running, especially heading in today and tomorrow and Thursday, which is wild. There are so many different possibilities that could play out for who could be the top 4. But I love the tournament. I think it's really, really cool. I'm curious to see if any of that changes, especially with the way it's structured and adding more teams to it. I think a discussion also needs to be had about the referees as well. I think that also needs to be discussed, not only in our game, because you're seeing it, I think, in all of the other games as well. Some decisions too, and I think that also needs to be talked about as well. But no, I think this tournament has been a ton of fun, and I don't understand the hate with it, because I do think it's really, really fun tournament, and it's a tournament that I think it can do really, really well, and it's been fun to watch. I've enjoyed every minute of it.
15 MLS teams still technically heading into match day 3 are eligible to make the Final Four, and 14 Liga MX sides are eligible to make the Final Four on their side heading into match day 3. So yeah, we only have 7 teams of the 36 that have been eliminated so far, and the 6 of those 7 have no points. The Leon has a point, but they have been eliminated from all of the round 2 chaos and phase 2, or whatever they're going to call it, the round of 8, I guess, the quarterfinals. We might go back to normal stuff after that. But yeah, 29 teams still mathematically available and eligible. But I mean, if you look at it, you'd have to have teams 14 and 15 win. They'd have to win big. Then you'd have to have everybody above you lose. But no, that's just all the math and everything.
Well, and then you're also dealing with, too, you're having teams that are going to play on that last day, and they're going to know what they need to do to get a bump ahead. And, for some teams, it's like, well, that's an advantage. It's like, yeah, well, they're playing later. It's obviously an advantage that's going to happen. But I think if you expand it to a couple more teams, it makes it more competitive. I think because now it's like, okay, now it's not, oh, we literally need to win out every single game in order to go through, which I think should be the talking point with it already is like, you go into this, you want to win. You don't want to play for a tie or play for a penalty shootout or anything.
You don't want to play for a kick. You don't want to play for a kickabout just on the final.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Like, I think that it's one of those where it's, I think when you're playing as well, it needs to be around like maybe 8 teams. I think 8 teams would be a solid choice because then it allows for a little bit more of the MLS teams to get in. You could see a little bit more competition for it too. Because the battle between trying to be that last spot or like the second to last spot would be wild the last day. I don't know how that all gets structured. I don't know if that would even change. But I like the new format of it. I like the new format of getting to play across league. I think that's a lot of fun. As well. And yeah, I think it's really fun. And it's another trophy to win.
Yes, you get another trophy to add to your trophy case. All right, 9:26. Are we keeping you now officially?
Is anyone going in yet?
She peers out her window.
I'm peering out. You have a couple people here. None of them are leaving their cars yet. Oh, someone's leaving their car.
You need to leave your car?
No, I'm good. I got a little bit of time.
All right, just checking. Like I said, I mean, if you're going to do the Irish goodbye like Jared, just let me know, obviously.
No, I'm chilling. I'm also have a perfect view of when Jason will get here. So I will just like when I see his car, then I'll probably have to like interrupt and leave.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, but yeah, I like Leagues Cup. It's fun. I enjoy it.
Well, and also shifting gears to transfers, which is probably also where we will pick things back up after you depart. It appears that Manchester United has launched a £74 million bid for Benjamin Sesko in a hijack attempt to rival Newcastle and will have implications for Alexander Isak's future, according to our friends at TalkSport. So it is now a match race for Benjamin Sesko and trying to figure out, what it's going to be for all of this. Newcastle now believed to be open to parting ways with Alexander Isak after rejecting the 110, but the sending Isak on his way is only contingent upon Sesko and him going in, so then Isak can leave. You will not have the two of them together if that is your wish.
Here's my thing about the whole thing. I went on the full rant about it as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you knew that you're trying to find another striker and all that stuff, I understand. But if your whole deal is dependent on the fact that if you don't get Sesko and you're going to hold on to Isak for the season when he doesn't want to be there, is not good. Like, at all. It's not going to be good. How many situations have we had where that is a good thing? It's not. Like, my thing is, if I understand trying to bring somebody in, you want to bring another striker in, I understand. I get that. I'm for it. I like the idea of bringing Sesko in here. I don't mind that at all, actually. But if your whole contingency depends on, we have to get him in order to sell you when you just rejected a really good offer, what are we doing? What? Am I dumb? I know that a lot of the transfer stuff maybe kind of flows past my head sometimes, but am I dumb? Like, does that make sense? Am I dumb?
I mean, you want. I know that you want both, but you valued the play. You valued Isak at 150. You got 110. You said no, and so now that Isak, who was spending time at Real Sociedad, away from the club on tour, is now back with the club, and he was kind of thinking, yeah, maybe I'm probably stuck here. And then you're like, well, if we get Sesko, then we can send Alexander Isak on his way. We won't get the 150, but at least we might cover the cost for Sesko if we bring him in. So 8.7 in add-ons. This is the United bid. So Newcastle made a club record offer to bring Sesko in. United have offered 65.1 plus 8.7, so 74 basically. Magpies had an initial bid of 70 plus add-ons. Confident that they could wrap up a deal prior to United's offer. United believes Sesko wants to join. Club never planning to bid without getting the players' buy-in. It's also understood that Sesko has verbally agreed over terms to a switch to Manchester United, while he's also agreed financial terms with Newcastle.
I can't. That's how I feel about it.
Your car is breaking down.
I know my garage door opener broke.
You're breaking your car from
I
within
am.
over the Benjamin Seshko transfer.
I am. Well, again, too, if he made personal, that already means, too, that if he made personal agreements, he probably is not thinking about Newcastle. Guys, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening anymore at Newcastle.
Where's your coffee, by the way?
I finished it. There's still a little bit left, but, pretty much done.
Are you like a frequent coffee person for Dunkin'? Do they have like a frequent coffee club or a frequent breakfast club?
I mean, they got rewards.
Okay.
I am a part of that. I'm also a part of Starbucks too.
Okay, so
and a lot of coffee shops as well.
Okay, just making sure because with all the coffee that you drink to start your day, I just wanted to make sure that you have the rewards on the flip side to reward yourself after the previous investment.
Oh yeah, I do. Long tour is not here, but I think I should probably go do my due diligence and maybe start watching training. So I will do the Irish goodbye now.
All right, so there goes Maddie. She's going to do her Irish goodbye and get ready for practice.
Have a good day, y'all.
Yeah, that too.
See y'all.
There goes Maddie. So Maddie's going to go to practice. Atlanta United Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground. She's getting ready for that matchup with Atlas, and that is coming up tomorrow. So today is probably just going to be some light work. Atlanta right now is listed as an even money plus 100 favorite in this matchup. Atlas a plus 229. Your draw is a plus 257. Since we're here, we'll go ahead and do the juice boxes for tonight. We'll go through start times and locations. 7:40 starts. Crew and Club Leon. Crew a big favorite at home at a minus 238. Leon a plus 500. Your draws a plus 386. Toluca and NYC. I think this one's at Yankee Stadium. I'll check in a minute. Toluca a plus 104. NYC a plus 198. Your draws a plus 293. KCD coming up at the top of the hour. She's got Montreal and Puebla tonight. Montreal at Stade Saputo a plus 106. Draws a plus 202, draws a plus 274. Dynamo hosting Pachuca at Hell in a Shell at 840. Dynamo a plus 257. Pachuca favored at a minus 106. Draws a plus 261. 10-10. Mazatlan hosting San Diego FC. I imagine this is at the Murph Dragon. So Mazatlan a plus 220. Draws a plus 266. San Diego is a plus 104 now that they will have Dreyer back. And then at 10:40, Tigres and LAFC. Tigres is favored. Both are on the plus side, plus 136. Draws a plus 236. LAFC is a plus 179. Standings, Tigres on top in the Liga MX side. Juarez, Mazatlan, Toluca right now 2, 3, and 4 with goal difference being the deciding factor. That's your playoff bar at the moment. Things that could change. Pumas, they have the same number of everything as Toluca, same record, same points, same goals for, goals against, and they're like to the 19th tiebreaker, and Toluca's currently ahead. That's why Toluca's in, Pumas is out. Pumas at 5 points. Necaxa Pachuca at 4. For all intents and purposes, we'll include the threes, Puebla, Tijuana, and Club America. That gets you to number 10 in the Liga MX side. For the MLS side, Seattle on top with 6 points, have a superior goal difference over Portland. Messi and friends, they are at 5 points in third. Once again, Messi with the muscle injury, they have referred to it as slight, but they have not given a timetable to his return. Minnesota is at 4 points. They have more goals scored than LAG. You have 6 teams with 4 points in the MLS side. It is Loons right now. They're in fourth. Galaxy, Columbus, Orlando, Cincinnati, and Red Bulls are all chasing. It is goal difference and then goals scored to figure out where we are all the way down to 9th. Colorado, NYC, RSL, LAFC are all at 3 points, and that gets you down through 13th. So that's where we are with all of that coming up tonight. All right, so we'll go through gossip rumor. By the way, I guess that was technically opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All of the Maddie-isms and the practice and all of our Leagues Cup round 1 discussion. Like I said, Kacey White coming up at the top of the hour. She'll break down Montreal. She'll break down her travels, everything that she's seen. teams that she's had the chance to analyze on both sides, and we'll go over her matchup tonight as well. Plus, we'll talk some NWSL with Kacey because she's been calling NWSL matches. Second half of the season now officially underway. Trinity Rodman scores on the weekend. Denver hits their first player. We'll talk about that and other things with Matt Pollard from Burgundy Wave. He's coming up at 10:30 Eastern, 8:30 local. So I guess we're catching Matt before like actual work and stuff. So we'll talk to him about the Mihailovic trade. We'll talk to him about Noah Cobb. We'll talk to him about the NWSL. We'll talk to him about all the things coming up at 10:30. So we'll break down all of that stuff. A lot of the Mihailovic deal, some of the Noah Cobb, some of the NWSL. They've signed a player, so Denver is off and running in the NWSL, and they won the press conference, and they won the jersey. So that's the rundown in hour number 2. So early stuff right there. Kickoff with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Hit your QR code. You hit the QR code. Then what you do is you go in and buy the whole store. You buy the whole store, but you can do it at a discount. Use the code SoccerDownHere15 at kickoff, at checkout. Wow. At checkout, you check out, you get 15% off of your purchase. They in turn take 10%, reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives, stuff that they have earmarked as cool. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Now, other things, as I try and reinstate logos now. All right, so don't forget, go to Olive and York, pick up the SDH jersey. And you can do that, and you can do what Abby has done and get both the Columbia blue, double blue, lighter blue personalization on the back, or you can do the white personalization on the back, white letters and numerals. Catch up with Abby and Alex and figure out which one is better for you. That helps out our Soccer for Good campaign here in 2025. Beyond Goals mentoring on one sleeve, Soccer for Good on the other. And don't forget the blue steel photo that Greg Garza has on his Instagram, where he is modeling his along with Maddie and Sophia. Go to soccerdownhere.net. You can go into the shop. You can get all of our SDH network gear, and you can also get the Attack and Ruckus stuff that Jason has re-jiggerfied, re-retrofied, however you want to phrase it. So you can go into the SDH store, get the new gear. We've yet to figure out how to do the retro gear as well, but you can go to the shop at soccerdownhere.net, and you can get the stuff there as well. Also, you can become a Fanatico. $10 a year. What do you do for $10? You can become a Fanatico. Go to the Chant app. You can be a Fanatico here. Once again, all this helps out our Soccer for Good campaign. A lot of really cool partners have partnered with us, because if they didn't partner with us, then they wouldn't be partners. Partners this year, just to give you an idea, a lot of cool discounts at a lot of different breweries with a lot of different beer and a couple of different wild cards. Brass Tap, Moxie Hotel in Midtown Atlanta, 20% off hotel food and beverage. South Main in Watkinsville, Schoolhouse in Marietta, Atlanta Hard Cider Marietta, Elixir Buford and Monroe, Round Trip in Marietta, Social Fox in Norcross, Keys to Flavor Catering in Sugar Hill, 15% off your first catered event if you use them. Fado, 10% off food tabs. O'Sullivan's in Decatur, $5 select beers, 10% off your food bill, 10% off merch. Lloyd's in Johns Creek, 20% off select Atlanta United gear. Finished Goods in Winder, Slow Pour in Lawrenceville, Outrun in Stone Mountain, Tires Plus in Alpharetta, 25% off alignment services, $25 off alignment services, $25 off oil changes, $50 off 4 tires. Dad's Garage, $2 off beer and wine with a paid ticket. Chateau Arenal, 10% off of any booking in San Ramon, Costa Rica. I'm not kidding. Battle and Brew, Sandy Springs and the Battery, and Wild Leap on Ted Turner Drive. So great partners with us. Group.chant.fan. Maybe if I typed it, then you could probably follow along. So group.chant.fan/soccer down here, if I could spell it, /join. I think I got it. Did I? I think I did. There we go. There it is, right there. Group.chant.fan/soccer down here /join. That is how you can become a Fanatico. $10 a year. A lot of cool discounts at a lot of different places. Helps out our Soccer for Good campaign there as well. Don't forget, not this weekend, but next, all week long in Springdale, Arkansas, Marshall Islands, the Outrigger Challenge Cup is underway. I think I'm going to be there Saturday. I will be groggy as hell, but I think I'm making it Saturday to go to the Marshall Islands. Oh, Glorious Exhilaration B. It's been a long time since we had a bot. So Glorious Exhilaration B Let's see. So block and report. Let's see. Spam, scam, bots, or tampering. Bot. Let's see. Viewer solicitation. Let me see if I can spell solicitation. Viewer solicitation bot, 23 characters. Oh, it's what it traditionally is. Close up. All right. Glorious Exhilaration B. You weren't even good to be Glorious Exhilaration A. Group.chant.fan/soccer down here /join. That's how you become a Fanatico right there. You could do that, $10 a year, download the Chant app, be a part of everything that we're doing. We're adding partners as well that are a part of that whole thing. But once again, that helps out our Soccer for Good campaign. Being left-handed and having to run a crossover is pretty difficult. But anyway, group.chant.fan/soccer down here /join. So that is what you can do there as well. So Marshall Island Soccer Federation, buy the scarves. They are running out. I have to send out 3, 2 to Arkansas and 1 to England. So getting to the point where I have to reorder. And so we're going to have to do an updated photo with Maddie too, by the way. So you can get your scarves from me on the other side of this door until they run out. Then I've got to reorder them. Until then, go to Springdale, Arkansas. If you're like in Tulsa or Springfield, Missouri, or in Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas, not this week, but next. Second half of the week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all those things. I think Wednesday they have 1, Thursday they have 2, Saturday they have the title games or the final 2 matches at 1 and 4 local time. So it looks like I'm going to be flying out first thing Saturday morning, and I'll be there for the Outrigger Challenge Cup. We'll hang out, and then I'll go back to the hotel room and collapse and then fly back here to Atlanta on Sunday because the Twos take on Crown Legacy in Kennesaw. So we got that. This week, once again, tomorrow, it is Atlanta United and Atlas at Mercedes-Benz, 6:30, Five Stripes Countdown with Abe and Maddie. Kickoff at 7:40. And then Abe and I will have the full-time report after as Atlanta United will be wrapping up Leagues Cup play and getting ready for the matchup against CF Montreal. Friday night, Atlanta United 2 on the campus of York University, York Lions Stadium. It's going to be Atlanta United 2 taking on Toronto FC 2. We'll have pregame, and hang on, I think it's a 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock kick. Yes, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock kick. Broadcast will be on MLSNextPro.com on the video side. York Lions Stadium will have the audio version for you at soccerdownhere.net and on our Mixler channel at soccerdownhere.mixler.com. So on our Mixler channel and at soccerdownhere.net, we'll have the audio version for you, the Twos and Toronto FC 2, as they are trying to close the gap to get into the playoff discussion in the Eastern Conference. Have some matches in hand. They need to get full points in those matches to get back into the discussion. And they can hopscotch Toronto FC 2 while they do it with a win on Friday night. And then Saturday, once again, Atlanta is in Montreal taking on CF Montreal. And so that broadcast will be there with you too. All right. So let's say hi to everybody who's made their way in this morning. Morning Lokeville. Missed the fix of the show from yesterday. What happened? Well, I mean, yesterday we talked about the Alzate signing. We talked a lot about reffing down here. We did, and it was more philosophical. We did get into the actual calls like we were a part of the Maddie discussion, but more along the lines of philosophically how to look at the situation, where you had a ref and a crew that was completely and totally out of control. They lost control of the match, did not want to enforce rules of engagement, let Kaylor Navas basically run wild. And I, like I said, make your own connection. But center ref in the match has got most of his reps in the Costa Rican Primera. Kaylor Navas is a legend from what country? Kaylor Navas was certainly treated with far more deference than any other individual, safe to say, on that pitch. So we got into the whole Kaylor Navas thing. We got into the time wasting, the cards, all of it, and then the philosophy that's attached to all of those. We did talk about the 2 cards and the iniquity in the cards and the foul calling and all of that kind of stuff. So I may bring that up with Kacey just as a matter of parliamentary procedure. But yeah, we went over all of those 11 separate incidents, most of them in the Atlanta United match. To talk about philosophy, we did talk about Seattle Santos Laguna, the Musovski foul that wiped the goal off the board, and we did talk about the end of the Atlas Purple Team match and all the chaos there, where Robin Janssen gets touched. You don't put your hands around a player's throat, don't get me wrong. But the second Robin Janssen got touched, he went down. He was like 4 inches taller than the guy that grabbed him. And so we talked about that. We talked about social media and just the stupidity of referee abuse. Katja Itzel Garcia, after she called FC Cincinnati and Monterrey, basically got death threats. We talked about that. So if you missed that conversation, you can go back and listen to the conversation. It's up. Obviously, the full show is up on our website and on our YouTube channel. And you can also go back and listen to the sections themselves. We pulled the section with Bart, and we posted that separately from the whole show. So you can listen to the whole show in audio form, Bart's segment in audio form, or go back and just have the YouTube broadcast played however you wish. Of whether you want to just have it playing in the background or you want to go and search. But Bart was the start of hour number 2. So basically 55 minutes in, as you shuttle, if you're doing the whole thing, 55 minutes in, that's when Bart takes over. So there you go. Morning, Alex. Morning, Dell. Did Maddie not know who I was? Did you introduce yourself, Dell? Did you yell and go, hey, Maddie? We need to work on that. David, morning, Team Twitch pitch. Absolutely. And Derek, yeah, this is what I'm anticipating. That if he goes to PAOK Salonika, Derek, that Gigi will absolutely find something bad to say about Liga MX. Well, if they had started me instead of Sepulveda, who actually was scoring. Yes, David, so the sell high where Gigi was worked out. Yes. David, so has MLS set the schedule so there's an Open Cup can play in this Leagues Cup window? Yes, what they've done is, and this was another improvement from last year, to where you had last year in Leagues Cup, you had that 3-week gap. Like if you didn't make it out of Phase One, you had like time to rest and have practice and all those things. What they've done this season is they've done a better integration of schedules, and they've positioned matches on the weekend. If regardless, they position matches on the weekend, and then I think there's the 17th, I think, is the next time where they would have the round of 8, and so then it's easier to reschedule matches than have that big 3-week gap. And so it is. Let me see where the Leagues Cup is. Okay, so schedule. Let me go to the schedule, and then I'll grab my calendar. All right, so August gets through Phase One. So Phase One ends, then it goes 19 and 20. So it is a midweek. Tuesday, Wednesday, midweek is when you would have your quarterfinal matchups in Leagues Cup. Then it is 26-27 for semifinals. Once again, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then it is 31st, which would be Sunday, alone, away from every other programming, or just not competing if there is Sunday Night Soccer. This might be Sunday Night Soccer, the doubleheader, to determine who's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's quarterfinals Tuesday, Wednesday, 19 and 20. Semifinals Tuesday, Wednesday, 26 and 27. Third place match, Leagues Cup final, back-to-back programming Sunday the 31st, and then out the door. This works a lot better schedule-wise than Phase One or group stage, and then 3-week gap, and then everything else, picks back up. So the Leagues Cup is no longer self-contained; it's now integrated. I think that's a better approach to the whole thing. So I think that's where we are. Morning, Del Mencia. Yes. Today's. Let me know if you're going to do the Irish goodbye. Absolutely true. I mean, Jarrett's just good at doing the Irish goodbye. I don't know if Maddie has quite. I don't know. Legitimately, I don't know if Maddie knows what an Irish goodbye is. So that was why I kind of phrased it that way. Let me know when you're doing the Irish goodbye out the door. Put it on a t-shirt. Yes. And we always Dave, we always try. This is the thing. We always try. Your second sentence, your third sentence technically. Educational and wildly entertaining. That's what we try to be. We try to give you the stuff that you got that you might have missed while you had your cup of coffee, like the transfers and stuff. We got to get into that. We'll be drifting in and out of that in hour number 2 and the tail end of this hour to get you ready for your day. Then they're like the stories, and I know we've got to catch you up on Texter because, first off, once again, he still hasn't responded. He still hasn't DM'd me. Actually, tell you what, let me double check. Let me double check and see if John Texter has not. Let me see if he has not DM'd me. So let's see. So there I am. People have liked things that I've posted. So we are in 1 week. We are 7 days in. John Texter watch. And he has yet to respond. So John Texter got DM'd by me a week ago. Come on the show. We'll blow out everybody. He has yet to respond. This is me holding my breath. But yeah, educational and wildly entertaining. That's what we try to be. With all the guests that we bring in, we try to be as loose as possible, but as informational as possible. And we try to be as inclusive as possible, where if everybody doesn't know, including me, we all learn together. And we always try to learn and go forward. So the day is what it is when it comes to what you're watching, all the things that could happen. Keep an eye on this, keep an eye on this. But that's what we've always tried to be. We've always tried to be as entertaining and informative as possible. Because if we're not journalists to start our day, at least me specifically, then something's wrong. Because there's always news out there. There's always stuff to keep an eye on. And so that's what we always try to do. We always try to make sure that your day starts this way. And David, I would agree with you. The Chant app needs more coffee houses. Absolutely true. I would agree. Morning, Kefsey. Morning, Wiley. And, how did the YouTube show not post? That's weird. Okay, then that's odd. Huh. All right, well, I'll go back and look. But it says it's going to YouTube right now. So it's like, because I have like little markers in the upper right-hand corner of my board here. It says YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. 280 character app. Let's see. Business hours and his promise for Pride from Atlanta United. And Morning Abbey. So that's where we are. Okay. Before we get into before Kacey White joins us top of the hour, let me get to the update of John Texter. And this and now if you missed the Jason has part of this at Morning Espresso. And okay. So Jason has part of this at Morning Espresso. So I would go back and either listen or watch that. That's been posted to the network as well. So at Globo, Sergio Santana posted this yesterday. So here's where to keep an eye on things with John Texter, Botafogo, Eagle, and Evangelinas Marinakis at Nottingham Forest. Something tells me, and this is just my gut, Evangelinas Marinakis is a guy you don't want to piss off. Just saying. So here we go. From Globo, Sergio Santana. Last week, Eagle Football filed a lawsuit against John Texter in the Second Business Court of the Rio de Janeiro Court of Justice. The company's shareholders argue that the American committed, quote, several unlawful acts while in charge of Botafogo in recent weeks and are requesting a suspension of these acts. In the lawsuit, Eagle claims that since June 2 of this year, no corporate action can be taken without the consent of the company's director, Scottish lawyer Christopher Mallon. However, according to the lawsuit, Texter made transactions without Mallon's approval, including the assignment of alleged credits from Alvinegro to a company in the Cayman Islands worth up to 150 million euro. The assignment of credits was decided at an extraordinary general meeting of the Botafogo shareholders and at the Botafogo Board of Directors meeting July 17. Therefore, Eagle requests the suspension of all effects of both of those meetings. If restraints are not imposed, Mr. Textor will continue to cause, and this is the word from Eagle, continue to cause irreparable harm to Eagle Bidco and Botafogo, particularly through the imminent dilution of Eagle Bidco's stake in Botafogo and the implementation of complex and harmful transactions with third parties and foreign jurisdictions. In its lawsuit filed in Rio, Eagle claims that in 2022, Textor took out a $425 million loan to purchase Leon, pledged all of his shares in Botafogo as collateral in the transaction. Thus, Eagle Bidco owns 90% of SAF shares, while the association club retains 10%. And I know we're getting into economics down here, so pardon if your head starts to hurt. Even without the shares in his name, according to Globo, Textor remained chairman of the board of directors of the company that runs the Black and White Football Club. However, on April 23rd, due to management errors by the American, the other shareholders of Eagle Bidco decided that the company would be led by Mallon. All Bidco decisions are now made by the majority of directors, require the approval of the independent director, and implies the full concession of management of power. Mallon, with the consent of knowledge of Mr. Textor, says the lawsuit. On July 17, Kacey White coming up in a couple of minutes. July 17, Mallon contacted Textor, warned him that the businessman needed to be removed from Botafogo's management. However, at 11 o'clock that same day, the American chaired Botafogo's board of directors meeting with the goal of transferring the club's assets to a new company in the Cayman Islands. And that's where the relationship might be with Evangelinas Marinakis. Textor ignored the changes in Eagle. This is from the lawsuit. Textor, however, faced with his imminent departure from management, ignored the changes in Eagle Bidco's management, which did not allow him to represent it without a decision from Mallon, the lawyer, and began to adopt several illicit measures with the intention of taking for himself relevant assets and controlling interest in Botafogo. So this is where we are. July 17, the association club sent a letter to Eagle Bidco in defense of Textor. Letter cited in the company's lawsuit. Literally, this is like required reading, and go through Google Translator. It will make your head hurt, but it's an update on everything going on with John Textor. Okay, it's time. And it is time to add someone else to the stacks. And we get to find out what's going on in Montreal, PQ, Canada. It is the debut of Kacey White, because we like hounded Kacey. We were like, come on the show, come on the show, come on the show. And she succumbed to all of our yelling and screaming. And so now we go to Montreal, PQ Canada, and bring in Kacey White. Kacey, what is up? Welcome aboard.
You did not hound me that much. Let's get that straight first. I'll give you a little bit of credit. It wasn't too much.
Yes. Hey, look, you're heading into hour number 2, and thank you for joining us on a match day as you are getting ready for stuff going on with the beautiful skyline of downtown Montreal, Quebec, Canada behind you.
Not too bad, right?
I know. So there are a couple of things that I wanted to break down with you this morning when it comes to all of the traveling and all the calling and all the things that you've been doing. So where would you like to start? You want to start with Major League Soccer? You want to start with Leagues Cup? You want to start with Atlanta United? You want to start when we'll talk about NWSL and USL Championship in a second, but where do you want to start? You want to start with Atlanta United? You want to start with Major League Soccer? You want to start with Leagues Cup? Your pick.
Ooh, that's a good one. Let's start with Atlanta United. Let's take it back to
Fair
where
enough.
I came in and got to meet you and everything. So let's start there.
All right. So you and Jess called Atlanta United, one of our OGs, Jessica Charman, called Atlanta United Chicago Fire. From 30,000 feet, what have you been able to glean past that match? And looking at Atlanta United, what have been your thoughts? I know that you're going to be into a majority opinion, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on the record.
Well, first of all, Atlanta treated me really well. I loved everything about being there. It was great. I think it's an interesting one. I have spoken to a few people about this. I really am on the train with Sleesh. I really like him in midfield, and maybe it's the coach in me. It's like that you see the little things that players do. I like what he's doing, but as a team, it's an interesting one because there's so many good pieces. It's putting it all together, and I was thinking, okay, what are they going to look like in Leagues Cup, and is that going to help? Is that going to hurt? How is that going to help them and propel them forward? So I think it'll be interesting to see.
So obviously, Bart, a couple matches ago, traditionally Bart will run 7.5, 8 miles in a match. As an athlete, what is it? How in damn good shape do you have to be to run 7.5 and 8 miles a match? I mean, how much do you have to clock to make sure that you're not dead?
Way better shape than I'm currently in. It's been 13 years now since I retired. So I'll say that first. It's pretty amazing. One, it's always been that way. Midfielders are covering a lot of ground now in the modern game. The wing backs, the outside backs, however you want to look at it, are. It's amazing how much the demand has continued to increase and what these professional athletes can do. But yes, especially those positions, both sides of the ball, they're covering a lot of ground. That's for sure.
And it is for me, it just stuns me the amount of ground that you cover to have to go full blown sprint, try to recover, full blown sprint the other way, try to recover. I mean, how much dedication to craft are we talking here? How much practice did you have to do outside of practice just so you could be able to do those kinds of things?
I think it depends on what part of your career you're talking about. When you're younger and it's more at the youth levels, you're getting into maybe youth national teams or whatever the case may be. And back when I played, the academy system was not in place. It was very, very different. I feel like I was doing the majority of my work outside of training and in between camps, things like that. Even when I started getting up into the senior national team while I was playing professionally in the off season, like there's a season for everything is kind of the way I look at it. So certain times of the year, you're doing more on your own. You can't be at the highest level without doing something. But now we have so much sports science that even players are overtraining. So there's the recovery piece and balancing that so you have the energy to extend as you're mentioning in the game. So there's a huge balance and the game continues to grow.
Do you miss coaching?
Oh, that's a good question. I am only about 3 months out from coaching, so not officially missing it yet. I'm enjoying my break. For about 6 years, I did both broadcasting and coaching pretty much full time, and it took its toll. And so I'm loving being fully in broadcasting now, more time to really hone in on that craft, which is a huge part of my personality, is that singular focus on what I'm doing. But I think eventually, you miss the players, you miss the standing on the sideline and all of those pieces. But right now, I'm pretty good.
So when it comes to prepping for a match, and for those that follow you on social media, basically it's like, hey, I'm having a meal, but I've got my notebook with me. And it's like literally your notebook's there, your computer's there, you're getting ready for your afternoon cup of coffee. What is the easiest thing for you in this transition to full-time, and what has been the most difficult thing to transition to do full-time broadcasting for you?
Oh, that's really interesting. The games come really quickly. Yeah. So I think there's a similarity to coaching in that you have to focus on the one that's ahead. You still have to look at the future. And so you have this short-term versus mid-term, long-term kind of piece that you're always trying to deal with, which is similar. But I think in some ways it's harder in broadcasting, especially when you're getting to learn new teams like the Leagues Cup, Liga MX, and we'll get into that, I know, but you're starting to learn new teams. So all of that can start to run together. I think that can be really difficult when you're covering different types of leagues and things like that. From a perspective of what transitioned quite easily for me is I just love assessing the game and watching the game. And so I think 12 to 13 years in a coaching career really helped me to be in game watching and be able to assess in a different way maybe than I would have if I would have gotten into broadcasting 5-10 years ago where my coaching career was.
And learning how to call a match off a monitor in addition to calling things in person.
Yes, that is an interesting one. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. Like I don't always have the backdrop behind me and I'm going to be in stadium. Wouldn't that be nice? But sometimes you're calling it off a monitor and you're not seeing everything and you're not seeing everything develop from a camera angle. And so figuring out how to do that versus being in stadium, it's very interesting.
All right, Leagues Cup. How many Leagues Cup matches have you called so far here in Phase One?
I called one. My first one was Portland Timbers versus Querétaro. This will be my second one tonight, and then I'll have another Leagues Cup game on Thursday. Back on
all right,
so
what have you thought about Leagues Cup with the adjustments that they've made from year to year, where Phase One is integrated into the schedule? You don't have big gap times after Phase One. What have you thought about the wrinkles that are in it this year as opposed to last year? What's it like?
Well, it'll remain to be seen, that transition back into league play, like how that looks. So that will be interesting. And talking to some of the coaches from both leagues, that is something that is on their mind, and that they're thinking about squad rotation and things like that. But at the end of the day, everyone wants to win a trophy. So it's an interesting balance. We just talked about how I have to manage my schedule short term to long term. That's what coaches are thinking. How do they do that and still win? And so I think that's an interesting one. I love the format of the tie, no ties, penalty kicks. I think it makes it exciting for fans. It makes it exciting for those of us that are involved in the game. And it puts a little bit of a test on your team that they're not always going to get. So that mental test, if I put my coaching hat on, you want your players to have certain times where they have to step up. So I think that part of the format is great.
Kacey White hanging out with us from Montreal, PQ, Canada. And that is not me. I did not send you that email.
I know. I can't get that sound off. I can't.
You and me both. Getting ready for Montreal and Puebla tonight, 8:10 at Stade Saputo, one of the really cool environments regardless of competition. Juice boxes have Montreal favored at a +106. Puebla is at a +202, and your 90-minute draws a +274. What's homework been like getting ready for this one?
Oh, it's been really good. I've had my sights on this one for a little while since I've known I was doing it. I thought it would be really interesting as the third match day. I was watching their first few matches going, okay, let's see what they can do. Both teams still being in it. Outside chances to finish in the top four.
Everybody's got an outside chance, Case. Come on now.
Well, there's a few teams that would disagree with you on that with that E next to their name, but
exactly.
But yeah, so it's been really nice preparing for this one. I think they're really interesting. Montreal has a new player in Escobar, really young talent that got his goal in the first game, got into the last game. Will be interesting to see how they use him tonight. I think that's going to be an interesting one. Owusu is always a challenge to contain. And Puebla is interesting. I think that they're a team that is trying to figure out what they want to do defensively. They're super fluid. They have a lot of movement, but the Columbus Crew made it quite hard on them, exposed some things. So it'll be interesting to see what they do against Montreal.
About it. We have our Twitch pitch off and running this morning. And Abby, one of our OGs in the Twitch pitch, has a question for you. Do you love, like, or hate poutine?
Oh, hey, Abby. Thanks for the question. I am so glad you asked this because I'm such a foodie in general. I love poutine. Love, love, love. I always have. I've never been to Montreal, so I had to check it out yesterday. I did, and it was fantastic.
So what did you put on? What was your poutine recipe? What'd you put on top?
Oh, I'm super simple. I am literally cheese and gravy. Like that is like it. Like I don't put a lot of extra of anything on it. That's it. Simple. Yeah. Do you have a suggestion? Do I need to try something different?
See, that's the thing for Jason. When Jason Longshore and Mike Conti go up and they're heading that way for the Atlanta United CF Montreal match, they'll be up there Friday. I think they're going to go to Molson Stadium to catch Edmonton and the Alouettes in the CFL on the night before. Jason is the one who you need to ask about poutine and what to put onto it. So yeah, I will link you the three of you on social media so that way you guys can get all squared away as to what needs to be put on your poutine. All I know is that it puts 10 pounds on my hips just thinking about poutine. So
Oh, I know. I've done a lot of walking since I've been here because the food is fantastic. And I came here a day earlier than I normally would just to cut down on flights and travel. And so I was able to really walk around the city and food has been a big part of my experience. So I'll have to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not shocked by that at all. Kacey White hanging out with us, breaking down everything because she's been covering everything recently. NWSL, I want to go here. And they're in the second half of the season. Trinity Rodman had a moment where she's now back and she scores in her return. Thoughts on the first half of the season, what folks might have missed out on, what you're looking for the second half of the season? What are your headlines in the NWSL?
Well, something that has to be said is that the Kansas City Current is flying. We don't see that a lot in the NWSL. One of the things that's been really wonderful for fans the last few years is just how tight the standings always are going into the second half of the season. They still are in a lot of ways, but Kansas City is out front by a lot of points. I believe it's 9 points, I believe it might be at this point. But they are just out and running. They've been fantastic all year. So they're a team that's obviously, I think it's a 10-point lead. It's not that they've won the Player Shield or anything at this point yet, but really it's that race for the playoff spots and the top four where you're looking at home advantage that's going on. So that is a big one. One of the big, I would say, surprises to a degree in some way is San Diego this year. They had a really tough year last year, brought in a new coach, and they are in the top four. But what I really like about them is they are playing a different style of play than we've seen in the NWSL. A lot of fluidity, a lot of different movements, and I think they're very exciting to watch. So if anyone's new to it, doesn't watch it a whole lot, they're a team that's really fun
Kansas
right now.
City, 36 points. They are free and clear. They are they're unbeaten at home. They've run 6 on the board. They've only given up 10 goals so far this season. Their goal difference is ridiculous at a plus 21. Then it's like the rest of the pack. Literally, it's like the Tour de France where you have the dude that's the rabbit who's like way out in front, and then you have the chase pack. Orlando's at 26. Right. Spirit are at 26, but they have a worse goal difference. San Diego's at 25. Seattle's at 24. Portland's at 22. Racing Louisville playing at the FAM right now. They're in 7th at 20 points. Then you've got Gotham and Courage at 19. Goal difference is the mix there. So literally you're looking at 9th to 2nd separated by 7 points heading into the second half of the season.
That makes for really exciting watching, in my opinion. And what's interesting is top to bottom, and I'm even including 10th through 14th, you will see wins on any given day from some of those teams. They're just not doing it on a consistent basis. The teams that are at the bottom aren't consistently showing up and doing that. But they kind of wreck things every now and then because there's still some really good talent there that comes in and plays some of those teams that are looking for 3 points, and they're not quite able to get it because it's such a stingy league in general, and that's what makes it
you
so
mentioned Kansas City, and while we were focusing on other leagues, Utah trades Allie Sentner to Kansas City for $600,000 in intra-league transfer funds. I feel like I have to say it that way. Spread over.
You have to. That was intense. I
over
liked
3
it.
years, 200,000 in commissioner bucks a year over 3, and then another 100,000 in transfer funds plus a sell-on. First overall pick before they transition to the new player acquisition model where it's like, hey, I just want to go play here. So Allie Sentner goes from the bottom to the top. Nothing like the rich getting richer with Kansas City picking up Allie Sentner for some change.
This is big. I was scrolling Instagram and I saw this come through, and I my face literally looked like that, like what I just did, and I could not believe it. For a lot of reasons. Obviously, she was the #1 draft pick to Utah Royals. She is with the women's national team. She's the face of that franchise. And so it was really interesting to see this come through. I don't know if a change was necessarily surprising, maybe at this point, perhaps, but to Kansas City, of all teams, I think the rest of the league is looking at this going, they don't need another front runner. They've got so many. You got Showinga, you've got Cooper, you've got B. There's so many offensive threats. Then you add Allie Sentner into the mix. So it's really interesting to see that happen. But honestly, I think there's a couple things at play here. I coached Allie when she was on the U16 national team with me, and she was a U14 player. We brought her up 2 years when I was the head coach of the U16. So she was playing in my age group along with Trinity Rodman and Michelle Cooper, all these players. And we even said then we knew what kind of trajectory this player was going to have. So when I think about the youth national teams and her involvement, it also makes me think about, I think this is a move for the 2027 World Cup and the 2028 Olympics, and looking at what's going to make Allie the best player she can be, and our national team needing her to continue to grow. And the Utah Royals are a team that has a wonderful head coach. I'm a big fan of Jimmy Coonrotz. His tactical brain is great. I just think right now, with the time between now and world events, Allie probably needs to be in a position to continue to be pushed by everyone around her as well, because Kansas City has a lot of players that are going to really push Allie Sitnor and her development.
What's it like to see Kansas City invest in 3 dimensions? And I mean that in the community, where you've got a soccer-specific stadium and a gorgeous location, all this investment, and then you're seeing what Kansas City is doing on the field with their investments, bringing in Allie as this next batch. What's it like to see Kansas City take this as seriously as they are in the NWSL?
Well, when you ask it that way, it does make me think of my playing career, because I'm so happy to see this investment. We didn't have that, and so it's really wonderful to see it evolve, with a tinge of jealousy, if I'm honest, just a tinge. But no, the game should evolve, and the investment that they're making in Kansas City is pretty unbelievable. I was able to go there for the NWSL championship last year. I did radio actually for the Orlando Pride at the championship game. And it was the second time I'd been there. I had done the Women's Cup there once and called a game on site there as well. And it's just unbelievable to see that it's not just an investment in soccer, it's an investment in women's soccer. And that's being done for a women's team is pretty incredible. Because those kind of things really make you feel like a professional athlete when you have that investment done. And now you're starting to see how it's helping other places want to invest. And there's that little bit of just an insight into, if you do this, what could happen.
All right. So since you opened that door, Mark.
What door did I open?
The Orlando Marta door. I mean, obviously,
Okay.
Copa America Femenina, we saw that. Marta. I don't know what Marta does. I don't know what her conditioning program is. I don't know, who she has as a part of her posse. But, the fact that she is still contributing as she is and doing what she's doing on the field is just, it's borderline insane to see her continue to produce the way that she has.
Well, see, I love that you mention it. I also hate that you mention it, because she is not that far off in age of me, and I've been done for almost 13 years, as I mentioned earlier. I can't imagine cutting back and forth anymore. My knees couldn't take it. I run in straight lines now. So it's amazing what she's doing. I remember back in 2006, 7, 8, we were both playing in Sweden, and we were both young and sprightly running around, and she's still doing it in 2025 and scoring and being a difference maker. I think that's the part that's so incredibly impressive. Is last year in the playoffs, she scored that wonder goal. She dribbled through about 4 or 5 defenders plus a goalkeeper on a counterattack from midfield. I was in the stadium in Orlando doing radio for that as well, and I almost couldn't believe it. And now you watch what she's doing recently with the final. It's just amazing. And so it's good for her. Play as long as you can. I'm under that. As long as you love it, why not? And she's contributing, and she obviously still has a
all right. USL Championship, before you go, what are some of the greatest hits that you've seen last little bit in the matches that you've called? What do folks need to pay attention to?
Well, I was fortunate enough to be on the Louisville City, North Carolina game this past weekend. The implications were that if Louisville City won, they would hop into first place based on head-to-head and with the Charleston Battery. And that game is this coming weekend. I'm not calling that game. Other people are, but it's a battle for the top in the East with 2 very, very fun teams to watch. And there's just a lot of players in really good form for both of those groups. So that's a really exciting one for me coming up.
All right,
this
cut the
weekend.
promo for me. What's going on tonight with you at Stade Saputo?
Well, Montreal taking on Puebla, 3rd match of Phase One for Leagues Cup. So super exciting. I think this is big for Montreal, honestly, to help them with their form going into season. They just need to continue to try to build that confidence and figure out a way to get wins.
Who's calling it with you?
Mark Rogandino.
So it's Rogo and Casey D tonight at Stade Saputo.
Is that going to catch on? Kacey on Apple TV with Rogo.
Well,
I
yeah,
like
and
that.
the thing is that my knowledge of Rogo goes back all the way to his time in Southern California when he called high school football in the CIF. So,
Oh, wow.
Rogo and KCD tonight at Stade
Love
Saputo, and yeah, make sure that sticks.
I like that. I'm going to work on
So
that
Rogo and
for
KCD
sure.
at Stade Saputo tonight. Enjoy your day. Be safe. Get there. Have fun. And obviously, now that you have the garage door opener, you know where the key is under the mat. You know you can crash at any time. Thanks as always for coming on. And we'll talk WOSO. We'll talk anything and everything. Just beat on the door and we'll answer.
That sounds
There
great.
goes
Thanks for
Kacey
having me.
White, everybody. So it's Kacey White and Mark Rogandino tonight in Montreal at Stade Saputo. So yeah, Rogo and KCD. I'm looking forward to that one tonight. And we'll go over the numbers once again. The juice box is on our way out the door and let you know what's going on there. But one of 6 matches tonight. Montreal, prohibitive favorite at a plus 106. Puebla is at a plus 202. Remember, looking at the numbers in the brackets themselves and in the standings, Puebla, outside chance of making it into the quarters. They need a win. They need some help. Right now, Puebla is in 8th at 3 points, 2-1-1. And 2 matches played, 1-1-0. Goal difference of +1. So they need a win. Montreal right now is in 14th, 1-1, 2 goals scored, 3 allowed, -1, 2 points. So that's where you are. 8th in the Liga MX bracket, 14th in the MLS bracket. And that's where we are with that matchup tonight. So it was great to have Kacey on to talk about everything from women's soccer to USL Championship to everything that she's been seeing so far in Leagues Cup as she's getting ready for the matchup with Rogo tonight. So that's where we are with that. All right, let's get into news, notes, gossip, rumor, innuendo, all the things, because coming up in about 10 minutes, it's Matt Pollard from Burgundy Wave. And we will break down a couple of different things with Matt. It'll be the Mihailovic reports, the Noah Cobb deal, the NWSL, and anything else on his mind that we have there. But we're going to spend a lot of time on Mihailovic and Noah Cobb, and we'll work our way forward. We are efforting our friends from Footy Prime to get the other side of this once it looks like it becomes officially official. And we'll discuss Insigne, Bernardeschi, the incoming Djordje Mihailovic. We'll get it from the Footy Prime perspective, hopefully later in the week. To break down what's going on for the rest of the week, Tyler and Dylan, if we can catch up with the busiest man in the Northeast, that's at 9:15 and 10 o'clock tomorrow. Thursday, it's the Power Hour, obviously, with Nino and Nico at 10 in the last half hour of the show to find out what's going on in the West when it comes to Leagues Cup, Major League Soccer, and all points in between. And then Nino, as we go fully loaded and take the tour around the planet with all the transfers and everything going on. Friday, hopefully we can catch up with our friends at Major League Soccer, find out what's going on there. We still are trying to effort the interview with Tom Mayo, the executive director of Leagues Cup, as we work our way out of Phase One and get ready for the quarterfinals. So that's the week in guests right now as we have it. So that's where we are. Like I said, Matt Pollard joining us at the bottom of the hour to break down everything going on in Colorado. We're waking him up. We didn't promise him coffee or Danishes or anything, but we just we asked politely if he could come on at 8:30 local time, 10:30 for us. Okay, let's run through gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Obviously, our buddy Ben Jacobs has been very, very busy as he's been breaking down all the rumors and things that might be going on. So, formal offer, Benjamin Seshko, 85 million euro from Build, 75 million fixed, 10 million in add-ons, 5 million easily achievable. Newcastle's offer slightly higher with a fixed fee of 80, but Manchester United believes that Seshko wants to join them. So this is turning itself into one of these nanny boo-boo kind of things. Nico Jackson, another name on Newcastle's list of attacking options. Chelsea open to a sale. Some initial club-to-club talks already. Johan Vissa, another target, with the player pushing to join Newcastle. And we know that the Vissa deal would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 40. So Newcastle discussing people if they can't get Seshko in. And it appears, once again, that Jacobs, in his follow-ups this morning, that Seshko has now agreed to financial terms with both United and Newcastle. So now it's going to be up to Leipzig and the player as to what direction he goes. So financial terms with both Manchester United and Newcastle agreed with the player. Now it's going to be up to the club and probably the direction that the player wants to go. So we'll see what the latest is in all of that. Key thing behind Manchester United Seshko's bid, according to Jacobs, is that they didn't plan to move on the bid without the buy-in from the player. So it looks like there's a lot going on, and I would say leaning Manchester United. Besiktas currently in advanced talks with Wilfred Ndidi to try and agree to terms there. €9.5 million bid accepted by Leicester City. Ndidi gets to decide on that with several other options this summer. Spurs have placed a formal bid for Rodrigo. Wide of the mark, according to Ben. Tuesday morning, Real Madrid have received no bids from any club. Real still prepared to sell if Rodrigo informs them he wishes to leave. The player has now met Xabi Alonso, did not hand in a transfer request. It's an open situation, Rodrigo being offered to several clubs in case he decides to exit. Tyler Morton has completed the first part of his Lyon medical ahead of a move from Liverpool for £15 million. Transfer formalized on Tuesday, according to Alex Crook. Morton completed his medical early this morning ahead of the move. Everton could make a move for Jack Grealish. After rebuffing the Tyler Dibbling counteroffer as a part of all of the gossip, rumor, and innuendo there, they rejected a £50 million Tyler Dibbling proposal. And this is Sharon Wiseman and Alex Crook. Looks like they might be stepping up on their interest of Jack Grealish. So $50 million was the offer from Southampton, or the evaluation of Southampton for Tyler Dibbling. And Everton, they're like, nah, too rich for our blood. So it might be Jack Grealish and Everton. Southampton once again knocking back that bid. So keep an eye on that. 4 years on from completing the £100 million move from Aston Villa, half price. Maybe Everton. So we'll keep an eye on that one going forward as well. Chuba Akpom has like 98 teams chasing after him, and it looks like it might be Ipswich after all. Mason Greenwood, Al Nassr's inquiring. Marseille don't want to sell. They value Greenwood at over 3 times the £26 million paid. Manchester United have a 50% sell on. Greenwood was discussed by Saudi Arabia back in 2023. Dealmakers chose not to make a move. Jamie Donlan ongoing a loan from Spurs to Stoke, season-long loan. Dortmund are in talks with the Wolves over Fabio Silva. Understand Wolves want around €25 million. Chelsea's position on Nico Jackson has always been a sale is possible at the right price, even though he remains valued by Enzo Maresca. A lot will also come down to Jackson, whether he wants to be a lead striker elsewhere. The lap arrived. Joao Pedro would be used as a 9, according to Jacobs, if Xabi Simone is added, reducing Jackson's game time. Jackson once again offered to Newcastle, United, and Milan. The former 2 clubs decided to focus on Seshko. But if one doesn't get Seshko, they probably come back to their focus on Nico Jackson. So the one that doesn't get Seshko might get elevated in their chase for Nico Jackson from Chelsea. So you got that going on too. Yikes. Welcome to the transfer window, people. Let's see if Tommy Scoops has anything domestic that is going on before Matt Pollard joins us to discuss everything going on in the world of Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Portland looks like they're finalizing the deal to sign Felipe Carballo on loan from Gremio. Tiempo Extra OK was first on this one. Carballo spent the last year on loan with Red Bulls, and so we're keeping an eye on that. Timber is also finalizing a deal to sign Norwegian winger Christopher Velde from Olympiacos, deal worth around $5 million. They get their attacking DP, 1 cap with Norway. And then the news that kind of broke, and we were like, what? Literally, when this came across, we were all like, what? And so we decided to chase after an oracle in the Mountain Time Zone to find out about what's going on with Djordje Mihailovic. And for this, we bring in Burgundy Waves Matt Pollard, Grand Exalted Poobah of Everything Rapids, and written in pod form. Matt, what up?
John, thanks for having me. Strange and interesting times here in Colorado soccer.
Yes. And so that was why we decided to bang on your door and go, bruh, what in the wide world of sports is going on here? Was this, starting our conversation off with Mihailovic, Was there any advance notice on an idea that he did not want to stay, that he wanted to go to Toronto specifically? Was there any background on this before this dropped?
I don't know that it was specifically going to Toronto. In hindsight, I would say that there are few breadcrumbs that, of course, a little bit upset or club more from his teammates. I think here, John, is that Djordje came back like a number of reclamation project, absolutely excelled, was absolutely the best player on the team. He broke the no player in their first 2 years as a member of the Colorado Rapids have more goals or assists right now than Djordje Mihailovic. In theory, had he stayed, he would have had 9 more regular season games to add to that lead. And I think he wanted to be in a situation to where the club's ambition for winning and his compensation matched his talent and potential. And I think the real reckoning, for the Rapids front office and for Rapids supporters, that the club was not in a position to provide that, and somebody else was willing to within MLS, while overpaying, I should say, in terms of his cash transfer value.
Right. And so this is a number that has been linked somewhere in the neighborhood of 8.5 to the left of the decimal place. That's a rather large number. And what has the I guess the instant reaction been there with the fan base? They're like, what the hell, or okay, we get it, or what's going on?
The fan base is absolutely upset, John. I think they're livid. We're not to the point of, I don't know how much you followed the team in 2023, when Robin Fraser got fired and there was a real question about ownership's intent. And then obviously you had the interim bowl between New England Revolution and Colorado Rapids. Rapids post Robin Fraser, New England post Bruce Arena and his situation leaving the New England Revolution. And the supporters walked out of that game, and the fan cam on Apple TV moved to a different section. So we're not as bad there, but from that standpoint. But I think fans are extremely angry. They're upset. They see this as I think most of you look at what the price of what they got for him. I think fans understand that. The issue is what it says about the club that they chose to sell, that either they couldn't keep Djordje happy, or that they weren't willing to meet what other demands he had to where they ultimately had to end up selling him. And the club's had a good track record of selling players at their peak value. Just 12 months ago, next week, I believe, Moise Bombito sold for the most money that a center back has ever been sold outside of MLS to OGC Nice, $7.75 million. Incentives that could take that up to, I think, 9.5, 10. I don't have my notes in front of me this morning. I think that, the club has a track record of that. The issue wasn't that you sold Bombito last summer or that you got top dollar for him. The issue is that you didn't go out and get another center back immediately. You just brought Lawless Abubakar off the bench, who is a fine replacement level center back. But so now we're halfway through the window. It closes on August 21st, and the fans are wondering, what is the club going to do urgently to replace Djordje in the aggregate? In theory, they bought Djordje last January for around $3.6 million. They've now gotten $8 million. That could go up to $9 million, depending on the incentives. I don't have details on what those are. But in theory, they should be able to go out and spend $8 million on a player that was better than January 2024 Djordje Mihailovic. The fan base is wondering if and when and how the club will end up doing that. And all of this belies the fact that you couldn't keep your big... Djordje was supposed to be here. Djordje was the centerpiece that you were building around. If he didn't want to be here, what does that say? What other rot is festering in Commerce City that the fans don't know yet? It's going to pass before the end of the window, before the end of the year. Commerce is out of contract.
Is that all?
Yes. To say nothing. What did you think, John?
Cash, 1 million.
Do you think $8 million was an overpay? Do you think that's the most the Rapids could have gotten from anybody in MLS?
Well, look, I think that Toronto is prone to overpaying anyway.
Yes.
They have always been known to splash the cash. So I think that if you were looking for a high bidder and someone who is desperate to try and replace the folks that had issues with the head coach, then you dispose of Bernardeschi, you dispose of Insigne, you have cash that is apparently in your pocket burning a hole, and you're like, hey, who do we get? And so, Djordje Mihailovic. And so apparently, according to Tom Bogert, Rapids rejected 2 bids. Then Mihailovic asked the club for the TFC move, which I found interesting. Is there a tie here that we're missing? Is there, because I know that there are some things that the Mihailovic family is dealing with. Is there a specific tie to pay attention to here?
I don't think there's anything off the field going on here, John. I suppose if you look at what's the flight time from Toronto International to Chicago O'Hare compared to Denver, maybe it's slightly shorter, but you have to go through international customs. I suppose if we're continuing on with Djordje is likely getting a contract offer. He was making 1.775. I rounded up to 1.8 million when we talk about how much he was making. I would imagine Toronto FC is willing to pay him more than the Rapids were going to be able to pay. You combine that with the, spending money on the Canadian dollar. We've heard other MLS free agents talk about that being a factor in terms of going Toronto, at least back, when they were good. That was a factor for Drew Moore leaving the Rapids at one point to go join Toronto FC and win a couple MLS Cups. But I don't think there's anything family going on off the field, regardless of what Djordje's talked about with what's been going on with his mom being diagnosed with cancer. That was part of the impetus for him wanting to come back to MLS, or his 1-year-old. I think he would have gone anywhere in Major League Soccer where he was going to get paid and where he felt the team was ambitiously going to work towards winning a trophy, not being mid-table because he was balling out alongside 10 guys who were average.
Yes. Matt Pollard, Burgundy Wave, hanging out with us here. Sorry we did not put out the coffee and the Danishes for you this morning, since it's 8:37 local time. That we wanted to try to then thank you for doing this before your day starts in earnest, and you have to kind of put on the Superman cape and do all the other things. We really do appreciate this, especially on the quick turn. Any gut as to, do you think 16 days left in the window? We'll say when this deal comes to fruition, you end up with $8 million in the coffers. You end up with the $1 million that probably is going to be easily attainable. Then the sell on if Djordje ends up going back to Europe. What does your gut tell you about this $8 million that is now sitting there and KSE is staring at it going, okay, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Do you anticipate that they're going to be active or incredibly active chasing after the hashtag Mihailovic replacement, or are they going to sit on it? What's your gut tell you?
I think they have to sign somebody else. There's obviously Alexis Munyama, who's been rumored for a while now. That's the Colombian winger who they've been chasing. I would guess, knowing Porrick Smith, that's probably a loan with an option to buy, something they'll probably trigger sometime next summer if they really like him. That was the big winger replacement going into this window. They wanted a winger. They wanted a center back. They got Rob Holding on a free transfer from Crystal Palace. I've heard good things about him. And then they brought in, as you might be familiar, Noah Cobb on loan, and there's a purchase option for that. That's another young center back they might be taking a flyer on. I don't know that Noah's coming in to fix the problems for the Rapids defense and the departure of Chidozie Awaziem. That's what I think Rob Holding is there to do. But, I look at the D-mid position right now where you've got injuries to Josh Atencio and to Connor Ronan, and we've seen where this team has succeeded. It's when Cole Bassett has a really, really good partner. They tried that last year with another guy, loan option to buy on Lamine Diak. That didn't really work out. So I think that's potentially a position that they look at. I think the other one would just be looking for directly the Djordje Mihailovic replacement. I think it'd be really curious to see, John, where they end up going with this, because Manyama's occupying the U22 slot that's now available from Djordje no longer being a designated player for the Rapids. And one complication that's further angered the fan base is that a couple of weeks ago, they finally parted way with Kevin Cabral, who ultimately ended up not working out for the Rapids. Right. But they waived him. They did not buy him out. Until he signs with another team, his DP slot is still occupied for the Rapids. The Rapids could write a check right now with the money they just got, buying out the rest of his salary out of their pocket to then free up that DP slot and use that money. So I do think that there's options in front of them. It's the impetus on them to do it quickly and to do it well and do it right. And as I mentioned previously, the club has not always done that. That being said, they've never had this much money. Atlanta fans are used to Arthur Blank rolling out the blank check and giving Garth Lagerwey everything in order to succeed. Again, Djordje was the record record Colorado Rapids transfer fee, and that came after the fan base up in arms over one of their worst seasons in club history. There was a supporter walkout, and they demanded change, and now they've got more money than they've ever had in order to spend on that. It'll be curious to see how wisely Porrick Smith tries to do that, given the Moneyball look for distressed assets that approach that the Rapids have historically had, both internationally and within the league.
Okay, since you mentioned Noah Cobb, we'll go there as topic number 2. And Noah, homegrown here with Atlanta United, now is there in Colorado. I know that he has had the initial press conference opportunity. Early returns, thoughts, vibes on Noah Cobb helping you out at the back.
I like him. Club seems to really like him. He's
a lockdown corner. I will tell you that.
Yeah, he is. I would say he's very quick in his recovery speed to get into open space and get into loose balls. I wouldn't say that that's a weakness, but that's something that the Rapids could have done better recently. I have seen him in training. Obviously, we spoke to him in media. He's been an unused sub in the 2 Leagues Cup games that he's been available for selection. I would say the big thing that stands out is that he is really, really loud. He over communicates. And I think one of the issues that the Rapids have had defensively so far this year is that they haven't had players who've maybe spoken up when there's an opportunity to solve a problem or to address something before it becomes problematic. Issues with the shape, issues with the rest defense, reacting when they lose the ball, that kind of a thing. That was something that they did okay with Chido Wazim, who's now gone. That was something that they managed when the defense was relatively deep back next to Zach Steffen, where Zach Steffen could be yelling at them. That's something that they've had as an issue when they're building up and the ball is in the attacking third. I think Noah Cobb can improve on that. And one of the things that I've heard absolutely about Rob Holding is that he yells so much, he almost yells just to be heard, even if he's not saying anything particularly important. There are values to not speaking in soccer. I remember it was on the David Beckham documentary. At some point, somebody mentioned that they didn't really talk to David because they didn't want to be heard, because they didn't want the other team to know where they were on the field. I think the Rapids have an under communication problem right now, and certainly adding in Noah Cobb will help that. I don't mind the $100K GAM on the loan fee. The reported, or what I have heard on the purchase option to buy is lower than I would have expected. I think if he does well in training, I think that's an option to where they bring him in. I don't know that he's going to do that before. He'd have to beat out one of the starters. Can he be better than Andreas Maxu, given some of the issues Maxu has had so far? Possibly. I don't know that it's likely. This might be a Cobb comes in, he's a rotational center back, and then does Chris Armas really like him? Does the front office really like him? And then they make a decision on Cobb after making a decision on their head coach.
$109,000 also on salary, so he is financially viable as well when it comes to the salary cap.
I think the Rapids can afford that with the $8 million they just got from Toronto.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on Noah Cobb. Obviously, a lot of folks here on this side of the Mississippi very, very fond of Noah and what he's been able to do and build, and looking forward to his success wherever it is. You're getting ready for match day 3 in Phase One of Leagues Cup. And it's a trip to Dignity Health Sports Park, Carson, California, getting ready for a matchup against Cruz Azul. What are your thoughts? I asked Kacey White this before you came on, but what's your thought about the somewhat retooled format of Leagues Cup, where you now have schedule blend? You don't have 3 weeks if you don't make it. You're going up against Liga MX from 30,000 feet. What have you thought about Leagues Cup 2025?
I like the fact that they're not taking a full-on break. I think it disjoints the schedule, and I think it's problematic for the teams that get eliminated earlier. I like that they've made it more to where it's not like some teams play 2 games or have 1 game and then a dead rubber, and then now they've got 3 weeks off. So I think that's certainly a net positive. I don't know what to make of the whole Phase One thing, John, and you're only playing teams from the other league, but then the only teams that you're compared with or fighting against are teams in your league as well. Like, there's a scenario, the Rapids can't do that because they lost, but there's a scenario where a team gets 2 wins and then makes it to a penalty shootout and then doesn't advance. So I don't know that I think we need a little bit more data. I want to see how this shakes out over the course of the next couple of days. Obviously, the Rapids play on Thursday against Cruz Azul, but I would have preferred a proper group stage. You could have 2 MLS teams, 2 Liga MX teams. Everybody plays each other in a round robin, and then 2 teams go through. Nobody complains about the format of the World Cup. We've had it, going back to 1930 in different formats. So I would have liked that. I think it's weird to have I think it's weird to have 3 games, but then only have 4 of the 18 teams ultimately end up advancing, because there are teams that were functionally eliminated after one night. And we'll get to this. The Rapids are on the final match day of Phase One this coming Thursday. Colorado's on 3 points. Cruz Azul is on 2 points. And there's a possibility that both teams are already eliminated before they kick off, just based on the points and the goal difference and everything. So still TBD for me, but it's been really exciting. The games have been absolutely fantastic. That goal that Pedro de la Vega scored might be one of the best goals that I've seen so far. And look, the Rapids have had 2 home games with significant away support from the Liga MX fans. It's been fun and it's exciting. And I can't remember, you get that kind of atmosphere in ways that you don't get on a Wednesday night in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely true. One other topic that, Matt, I wanted to break bread with you on this morning. The NWSL and Denver, you got your first player. I think you won the press conference. You definitely won the gear. You won the gear rundown, because God knows I'm probably going to be spending a boatload of money getting the Denver gear. So right now, everything on track in NWSL. Congratulations, first and foremost, to the market. What is the anticipation level and the excitement level now that it's off and running? You got a player.
It's so hyped. It's so exciting, John. I think the club and just the way that this expansion bid went about, I think they checked all but maybe one of the boxes. There's still an open question about the relationship between the public-private partnership, as Denver Mayor Mike Johnson has been saying about the stadium situation. So I've got a bit of a curiosity on that one. But I mean, Rob Cohen's been fantastic. The fact that this all started with Jordan Angeli, who's a local girl who is a legend for the Boston Breakers back in the day. Every single person that they've come in and they've hired, what they did with the brand launch, the way that the crest looks and everything. It's been absolutely fantastic. And the grassroots support that you've seen, all of the youth soccer, particularly on the girls' side, has been really, really galvanized. Rapids people are obviously all in on this one. I think just the only real open question, you've got 3 of the big Colorado starters. If we're talking about Mallory Swanson, I always get mixed up on this, John, because they've all gotten married recently. So Lindsay Heaps, and I'm struggling on the third one, and I know I'm going to get some hate tweets about this. I apologize. But so the only real question at this point, John, I think, is, do they end up getting one of the existing starters for the U.S. women's national team who's originally from Colorado? I will say, from a technical side, they're a little bit behind Boston Legacy. We don't have a head coach yet. There's been a rumor out on that. Obviously, as you're aware, there's the rumor about the first player signing, which has not been made official. I haven't checked my email in the last 20 minutes, so maybe that's changed possibly. But look, the vibes are good. The stadium situation, the training situation, people are so excited to see what this ends up looking like. And they've had 30 years to see what the Rapids have done well and done poorly, and every single thing where they have an option to upgrade or build on that is absolutely fantastic. And so not to take it back to the original point of this call, John, but there were a lot of fans who were wondering, who after they saw the news 24 hours ago, were wondering, do I want to renew my season tickets? And Twitter is not reality, and the couple hundred Rapids. The Rapids couple hundred sickos is not indicative of the greater fan base, but I think there's a number of people looking at this and thinking, do I just switch to the Summit at this point? And obviously the news made its way onto the Colorado Rapids subreddit, and I haven't checked this recently, but at some point yesterday, the most upvoted comment on that original post was that Denver Summit is going to eat the Rapids alive next year. So we've been wondering, and I think this is an interesting question regardless of how, as NWSL continues to grow, how do markets that have both an MLS and NWSL team, do they build together? Do they work together, particularly for situations where the ownership is not the same? This isn't a Houston Dash, Houston Dynamo, Portland Thorns, Portland Timbers situation. How do those two fan bases interact? How do those two clubs interact? Do they help each other? And I think increasingly with the negative energy and the bad vibes around Colorado Rapids and the upswell of excitement and hype around Denver Summit, are these two entities that are ultimately competing against each other next year.
Yeah, and by the way, I know that you were just testing me, but Lindsay Heaps is from Golden. Mal
Yes.
Swanson's from Highlands Ranch. And the third one that you were testing me on is Sophia Wilson from Windsor.
Yes.
See, yeah, you were testing me, and so I know why you were doing what you were doing. You were testing the host of the show. I know how this works. If you would please, sir, cut the promo for me so everyone can keep an eye on what's going on. Anything and everything. Colorado Rapids, Denver, NWSL, switchbacks at beautiful Widener Field in downtown Colorado Springs, Colorado. Let me have it.
Yeah, John, you can follow me. I'm mostly over on Blue Sky, though I am still on the Bird app. You can follow me on Burgundy Sky, as we call it, at by Matt Pollard, last name Pollard. You can check out my written work at burgundywave.com. Got the article up with all of my thoughts and some of the stuff that Tom Bogert did not get to on Burgundy Wave. I think I've got that pinned on all of our socials as well. And then you can check out my voice elsewhere on Holding the High Line with Rabbi and Red. We did do an emergency 1-hour podcast last night that is up on the RSS feed wherever you get your podcasts.
Matt Pollard, Burgundy Wave, instead of Trent Krim Independent. I figured I would reference that. So, Matt Pollard, Burgundy Wave. Yes. Hi, Matt. So as always, my friend, now that like I said, you now know where the garage door opener is and where the key is under the mat. So if we come knocking on your door, or if you just want to come in and crash during anything, hey, I've got breaking news. You got a home here in the Eastern time zone when you're waking up and rolling out of the rack. Thanks for coming on short notice. We really appreciate it. Do not be a stranger, my friend. We'll catch up with you soon.
Would be happy to be back. Thank you so much for your time, John.
There we go, Matt Pollard. Matt Pollard, Burgundy Wave. He is over on the Blue Sky, and that's where you can catch Matt most of the time. But yes, they are also here on the 280 character app as well at Burgundy Wave and at LWOS Matt Pollard. So that's where he is on the 280. On the Blue Sky, it's like mattpollard.bsky.app. However the kids do it over there. So no, it's been an out of control hour number 2, but we've got a lot of information that we had to get out this morning, and so that was why. Thanks to Casey D, who's going to be paired with Kacey White and Rogo tonight in Montreal, and Matt on an emergency basis. He was definitely break glass and trying to catch up with him about everything Mihailovic and with Noah Cobb and with everything going on in the NWSL as well. Like I said, Denver Summit, they're going to get my money because they've got the gear. All right. Let's see, to wrap up here, it's what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and any of the other headlines. Go back and check out the information Jason had on the required reading involving John Textor. Like I said, we are a week going into John Textor not responding to us on our DMs on Instagram, the IG, or the gram, as the kids say. So one thing that was posted yesterday that we did not get into from MCO Multi-Club Ownership Insights, MCOinsights.com. And I will post the link here in the Twitch pitch. And it is right here. MCO Insights, and it has to do with our friend John Textor and Evangelinas Marinakis. Headline from Jason Stevens: Marinakis and Textor to unite MCOs, multi-club ownership, and Aries management now controls Textor Eagle Football Holdings. So, Textor has been forced to cede day-to-day control, retaining only nominal majority ownership of Eagle. Eagle Midco, the parent company, 65% Textor. Iconic, Elmwood and Michelle Kang, 34.6%. Aries Management, across 3 tranches, has provided about $500 million in debt financing for EFH, Midco, the parent company. The acquisition vehicle, Eagle Football Holdings Club's Bidco, most of it, Lyon, 93.84% voting rights, 90% Botafogo, 80% RWD in Brussels and Belgium, the acquisition vehicle. Several media reports, according to MCO Insights, suggest Aries Management forced Textor to sell his 43% stake in Palace, which was sold to Woody Johnson. Aries Management received the majority of the proceeds from this sell. So now we know why Atlanta United probably is still in the queue for the $30 million that they are owned for the transaction involving Thiago Almada is because that they were not serving number one. They were not number one in the room. Looks like Aries management might be because they were the largest debtor, the largest individual debtor, creditor, the one who's owed the most money. So that may be why Atlanta United is still waiting for their $30 million, apparently. Eagle football, according to MCO Insights, drowning $1.2 billion, including total debt, $500 million, $493, owed to Aries, including, and get this, according to MCO Insights, Eagle football, $493 million owed to Aries management, including $159 million at a 19.4% interest rate, $75 million to Iconic at an 11% annual interest rate. Potential seizure of stadium assets. Groupama was worth $346 as collateral if Aries insisted on immediate payback, so they could have taken control of the stadium. Botafogo is EFH, Eagle Football Holdings, Botafogo, 10%, the social club, but they own 100% of the share structure. And protection for Texter. $27.2 million debt owed by Eagle to Botafogo. Assets frozen. Prohibition. Eagle cannot sell, transfer, or negotiate the Botafogo shares until the debt is settled. Preventing a hostile takeover. Aries or other creditors cannot access Botafogo as collateral. We may just have to get Jason Stevens on to talk about all this stuff. Marinakis and Texter uniting MCOs. Texter planning to create a new holding company. So if the first one didn't work, we'll create another one. Eagle 2.0. This was what we were talking about, what Jason was talking about in the Cayman Islands. Eagle Football Group 2.0 in the Cayman Islands to acquire Botafogo. Marinakis rumored to be providing financial backing to acquire Botafogo and the franchise in Belgium. Marinakis has a long-standing interest in Brazilian football. He tried to buy Vasco and Sao Paulo FC before. Iconic made a $75 million equity investment in Eagle to support Texter's acquisition of Lyon back in 22. Part of a broader financial consortium that included Iconic negotiating a put option, allowing them to force Texter to buy back their $75 million stake, plus annual 11% interest if the merger failed. Dual lawsuits were filed. Iconic and Texter in London, demanding $94 million. And then Texter versus Iconic in Florida, alleging securities fraud and claiming Iconic knew the SPAC would fail due to Alexander Canaster's alleged ties to sanctioned Russian individuals. Iconic was formed in 21. Jamie Dimon, you know him? Founder of York Capital Management and co-owner of the Bucks. Canaster is the founder of Pamplona Capital Management, value of $15 billion, and they're the owner of PISA. Edward Eisler, valued at $4 billion. Tifosi Capital, London-based sports advisory firm. They facilitated Aries Management's investment in Messi and Friends. Tifosi, active at Venezia. Norwich City with the bond to fund academy development. QPR, Peterborough and Stevenage fan investment platforms, and Elwood Partners. Holy crap. Yeah, we're going to have Jason on. We really are. I think so. So here's the element of all of that. MCO Insights. This is the required reading on Marinakis and Texter. So, yikes. All right, so let me go into gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Once again, tomorrow it is Tyler and Dylan, if we can track down the busiest man in all of the Northeast. We mentioned Mark Gahey. Happy 21st birthday to Jaden Hibbert. Well, mazel tov, Jaden Hibbert. Newcastle are to revive their interest in Mark Gahey with a £40 million offer. Crystal Palace value him at $50. We mentioned Benjamin Seshko. David Moyes wants up to 6 more signings at Everton. 2 central mids and 2 wides. Spurs have been told they'll have to pay 30 million to sign 30 million euro to sign Marc Casado from Barcelona. We mentioned Rodrigo. Arnaud Martinez, Crystal Palace facing competition from Juve for him, currently at Girona. Napoli's midfielder Jens Kajus leaning towards a return to Ipswich rather than a move to Burnley or Saudi Arabia. That's from Gianluca Di Marzio. Stuttgart working on a deal to sign Fabio Vieira from Arsenal. Porto were interested in Jakub Kivior, unwilling to meet Arsenal's 30 million euro asking price. Spurs looking to sell Yves Bissouma to free up space for Conor Gallagher from Atletico Madrid. Liverpool keeping tabs on Brentford defender Nathan Collins. West Ham have submitted an improved £10 million offer to Botafogo for Brazilian goalkeeper John Victor. Where that money goes, who knows? Leverkusen want Rasmus Højlund, but face competition from AC Milan, Inter, and Juve. Atalanta could make a move for Jean-Philippe Mateta if they fail to agree with Fulham on Rodrigo Muniz. Ruben Diaz is extending his contract at Manchester City. It was supposedly looking to extend, but apparently he is extending. And Sunderland and Wolves are showing an interest in Dortmund defender Julian Ryerson. Alfie Devine tipped to go out on loan to Millwall. Trying to see if there's anybody else that's there. We'll keep an eye on everything that is going on in and around the planet. Let me say what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. And then I'll say hi to everybody and catch up on the Twitters. It was Canada Day yesterday, I think, and that's why we had the doubleheader on FS2 from the Canadian Premier League. Leagues Cup on FS1 tonight at 7:30. It's Columbus and Leon. International friendlies, Leverkusen, Pisa, Real Betis, and Como, noon and 2. Fox Deportes, Peru Primera, Alianza Lima, Sporting Cristal at 9 o'clock, 2 to NA simulcasting, and Unimas simulcasting Columbus and Leon. MLS Season Pass, once again, has all the matchups on Leagues Cup. ESPN Plus, Leverkusen and Pisa at noon. Fox Soccer Plus, 10 o'clock. CONCACAF Central American Cup, Motagua and Independiente. Paramount Plus English League Cup. I'm guessing this is Gummy Bear. Accrington, Stanley, and Oldham Athletic at 2:45. So that's what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it today. So, all right, let me say hi to everybody. And glad we got to ask. Okay, thank you. Because I was trying to figure out, David, why there's like a triple header of the CPL, maybe back to school day or something. There's some big crowds there, but it's like a triple header of CPL action on FS2, and I was trying to figure out what was going on. Might be John the Baptist Day. That could very well be. I will take your word for it, David. But yeah, there was like full stadia and everything, afternoon soccer and the whole schmear. So that was where we were. All right. So Abby and let's see. David wasn't and looking to eventually do the Canadian trifecta. If he doesn't, I mean, literally, Abby, that was what Maddie made the point to talk to Matt and the Burgundy Wave, because they were looking for some early intel, and we laid it all out for him. Maddie reached out to Burgundy Wave and let them know what Noah is and what he has been in his time with Atlanta United, and so we'll see what that's all about. All right, so let's see. KFC and Abby discussing what's going on with the supporters. Abby on Leagues Cup, not playing MLS teams. Also agree the way advancement works has disadvantages, and that was one of the things. That's one of the things. Morning, Wiley. One of the things that I wanted to discuss. There are two topics mainly, in addition to the tournament with Tom Mayo. I am going to ask about officiating, and I am going to ask about the format and the scheduling, because there have been some coaches who have been like, too much in very few space. I think Domi Torrent has been critical of the scheduling component. And so those are the two things that I wanted to ask in addition to everything else. And we can catch up with Tom Mayo. Wiley likes not playing MLS teams. Numerically may lead to some odd combos. Maybe expand the bracket to 8. That might be the next step. It might be 6. Just depends on what the TV partner wants and the TV partners, and what if they're looking to expand inventory. So that would be the biggest thing for me. Yeah, and Abby, I'm thinking it's coming. It may not necessarily be immediate expansion of the NWSL here to Atlanta. I think it's coming, but give it time. It's going to be done. It's going to be done right by Mr. Blank. That's pretty much how this is going to. That's going to be. That's the idea. David, maybe I can catfish Texter into responding. Yeah, send a picture of a trophy or something. Let's see. So, and then trying to find the right venue for all of this. That would be the biggest thing. Oh, well, and David, just to let you know, yeah, my birthday is that of also a St. John the Baptist, June 24, 6/24. That was one of the things. I don't think that was on purpose, mind you, but yeah, St. John the Baptist and I share the same birthday, and the John that I have was not a John because of St. John the Baptist. I don't think because my family's not that religious. But yeah, I don't think that the St. John the Baptist born on June 24th and me, I was named John because of that. I don't think that's the case. Okay, let me see if I've missed anything when it comes to any of the other names and news as we go. We mentioned Benjamin Seshko, the counter bid on Tyler Dibbling. Neto, 36-year-old keeper, joining on a 2-year deal option for an extra 6 months, flying to Rio for a medical. And so Stuttgart pursuing a deal to sign Fabio Vieira from Arsenal, attacking midfielder on loan last year at Porto. Agreement in principle with Ruben Diaz through 2027. Fresh deal secures a long-term future of the Portuguese international and a key player for the club. All right, so I'll be there tomorrow. Abby wants to know how many folks are going to be at Mercedes-Benz tomorrow. I will. It's going to be interesting. It'll be the return also of Gonzalo Pineda, and we'll see what the response is when Atlas comes walking out onto the pitch, and we'll see what the response is there. So tomorrow it's going to be, once again, we'll have the show in the morning, then Five Stripes Countdown at 6:30, kickoff 7:40, and then it will be full-time report after with Abe and me. 7:40, Atlanta favored at a +100. I believe the grass is still down tomorrow. Hang on just a sec, David. Let me, because I saw something on it, and I don't want to be quoted on it directly until hang on, because I thought there was a note. Apparently so. I think that's the way that it's supposed to. I think grass is coming out of the stadium. Atlanta will be on turf for the Leagues Cup match against Atlas. Doug Robertson of the AJC. So after the match, after summer series, grass got pulled up. Atlanta will be on turf for the Leagues Cup match against Atlas. So there you go. So it's a turf match for Atlanta United in Mercedes-Benz. So Abby had to load in last night. So she knows this. She knows this because she was there. She got the early peek. Interesting to see how many show. Option match Wednesday night, first week of school. You ain't kidding. Okay. So once again, tomorrow it's Tyler and hopefully Dylan. We'll get you through the rest of the week. Thanks to Casey. Thanks to Matt Pollard. And thanks to Maddie before heading out to practice in hour number 1. So very, very busy show. Back at it again in a little less than 22. Keep an eye on Leagues Cup tonight in the 6 matches, and we'll roll from there. And play it safe, everybody. Mucho platial. Since it is the end of the show, it means we get to do this. Back at it again, less than 22. See you soon.